G'day, guys. It is the coach here. Hope you all well. Welcome to, in my mind, so when I was going to go buy dinner, so my wife's not feeling very well today, and I thought I'm going to buy something to eat, something delicious, as opposed to the stuffed capsicums with mince that I had made that it was going to be for dinner. And I'm walking up the road, and I'm thinking, right, I'm going to try to open up this episode really funnily. I'm going to say, if it's Wednesday, it's warm. Oh, wait, no, it's not that episode. And I was going to try to do something really funny, and I completely forgot about it. So I might just do the proper introduction. Hello, my name is Anthony. It is the coach, and this is the return of Down Under Sigmar. So this was an episode or a show that was long running for a good 18 months with my good friend Liam, who, with life taking up a little bit of his time, actually it's not a little, a lot. He is absolutely jammed packed with life, good stuff, university. I'm not going to kind of dox him and kind of share what's going on, but Liam has foregone, I guess, his role, and I have scoured the internet for the world's best talent, and I landed on Clint. But it is Clint, the hottest free agent. If you don't know Clint is from the podcast Heralds of War. He is Australia's godfather into Age of Sigmar, and I couldn't think of any better person who's Manfred aligned than Clint to be my co-host. So Clint is on probation, like any good work experience person. They do have 3 months to prove themselves, but Clint is the new co-host. G'day, Clint.
Howdy. Thank you very much for that. I'm not going to call it a glowing introduction because I don't think it was. I think it was sort of like a backhanded kind of. And I can see Luke in the chat going off too. Don't think I can't see that.
I'll bring it up. Luke's secretly a bit upset that he wasn't the one invited. But look, Clint is the man in Age of Sigmar. If it wasn't for Clint, Australia probably wouldn't have the scene that it has right now. So I thought, who better than to do Down Under Sigmar, which is really at the moment probably a monthly show to kind of do a bit of a round robin of what's happening in Australia and New Zealand. We'll take them like a good pavlova and a Russell Crowe, but we're going to talk all things Age of Sigmar. We're going to talk about things that are topical at the time. We're going to talk about, in this particular episode, Broken Realms. I was going to say Mortal Realms, bloody magazine. We'll talk Broken Realms, what we're seeing, what we're expecting, a little bit of hobby progress and what we're up to. Consider this a live podcast if this is the first time you've seen Down Under Sigmar. And as we progress, we will bring back our cast of characters, our Australia's best and finest guests who can share all things about what's happening, whether it's tournaments. And if people want to hear certain things, we are absolutely flexible like a gymnast. So let us know what you want to hear. But Clint, for people who don't know who you are, other than that hot garbage introduction, who is this man who is my co-host?
Howdy, I'm Clint from the Heralds of War. We were Australia's first dedicated Age of Sigmar podcast. That's on hiatus at the moment. I also run the AoS event at CanCon. Largest Age of Sigmar double. Oh my gosh!
Largest
you can't do an intro.
Event.
I can't do an intro. Largest Age of Sigmar singles event in the world. There we go. If I say it slowly, I'll get it out.
You got there in the end. Look, it's been a long time since you created content, so
it is.
You're back on track, mate. This is my 3rd episode today. I've done 3 things so far. I am on fire.
Yep, fair enough. I don't have to talk at work, so my brain just shuts off. That's me, the guy who sort of cajoled enough people to play Age of Sigmar, and now look where we are. So wasn't doing much, and then you said, come jump on this show, and I'm happy to be here.
Look, I asked 5 different people. I had asked Doom and Darkness. I had asked Cinder4 Gaming. I had asked the Dwellers Below, and all of them had said, look, thank you, but, we don't have time. But you were like, hey, man, I've got nothing to do, so I'd love to chat. But
wow. All the way down the list.
We got there in the end. Look, it was between you guys and probably James from Mortally Wounded, who I'm just shouting out because he's in the chat as well. But hello, everyone who's on here. We're all having jokes. Look, Clint and I are very good friends. We've played together. We chat a lot with tournaments, being that Clint runs the largest Age of Sigmar event. I run one of the larger ones, and we're always kind of brainstorming and sharing. And I thought, who better for us to kind of deep dive into the Australian scene, what we're seeing overseas as well, talk a bit about Warhammer, what's going on, and who knows, maybe a bit of a sneak peek with what's going to come, given we are a little bit ahead of time. So that's kind of what to expect, at least. And I'm in a good spot, man. I think Age of Sigmar, I think, if we did this a couple of months ago, I think it'd be a bit of like nothing's going on. But for our community, there's a lot going on. Tournaments are resuming in Australia. We're seeing some up stuff in Brisbane. I'm attending to an event in a couple of weeks' time. We've got stuff happening in New Zealand. We've got, because events are happening, I'm seeing a lot more activity from like Work in Progress Wednesday. I'm seeing, more content being created. Broken Realms really has kind of lit the fire in the community, and some really cool things seem to be coming down the line. What's your take so far? What you're kind of seeing now?
Well, yeah, definitely here in Queensland, we're definitely ramping up. Like, we've had some little stuff through the last couple of months. I know Simon in Brisbane has been running some things, and we're going to hopefully, touch wood, have our first 2-dayer in a very long time in December. So lots of people getting amped up for that, and prepping armies and things like that.
I know for us as well, we've got the Canberra tournament. So Michael Thompson is running a 2-dayer as well. So I think for me, that'll be my first 2-dayer since SAGT in March. So it's going to be really interesting to it's been 6 months since I've seen the guys, let alone some people have said the last event they attended was CanCon, which was January. So it's, for some people, it's almost 9 months. And I'm going to call this out. Shout out to Jonathan, friend of the channel, who's saying powerful hat meta between AoS Coach and Heralds of War. Clint put a lot of effort to go make sure he had a hat ready for this episode.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I can't come on here without a hat. You've got to have one. So definitely can't be out hatted.
But what's been really cool as well is even in Perth, probably our furthest cousin, 3 to 4 hours flight traveling. It's East Coast versus West Coast America, so far away. They've actually got an event this year as well. So they've got Battle Masters GT. So pockets of events are starting to come up. So it's really cool to see what the meta is going to look like, what people have been up to. A lot of people have been painting armies, starting things fresh. People, we didn't really get to see Seraphon in action because most events kind of, I wouldn't say banned Seraphon, but Seraphon, because they didn't have the FAQ done by the tournament, the last set of tournaments, we haven't really seen the Seraphon meta. We haven't really seen Lumineth meta. Gargants, I'm rushing crazily, try to get the Gargants ready for November. So I think people are going to come in, want to roll some dice, just have fun, and who knows what we're going to see. I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting because we've had lots of like tabletop simulator tournaments and games and things like that, and it's allowed people to practice and pick things up. And so I think once we come back to tournaments, you mentioned WA and Queensland, we'll probably get there a bit sooner than other people. Oh, and Canberra. They'll have these honed lists with these books that probably haven't been seen much play, but people will also be prepped for them at the same time. We'll have seen what they can do. So it'll be a weird thing to see all these new books come in, but people kind of know them a bit better than they would normally. So.
Yeah, I know. I actually played at a store tournament just the other day out at Hall of Heroes in Campbelltown. And my first opponent, someone who's actually in my Discord, Benji, shout out to Benji, he shared with me that, he wouldn't be playing at that 1-dayer if it wasn't for TTS. So he's been playing a lot of Tabletop Simulator with his OBR, exploring Mortis Praetorian, and his list was hard as nails. I think he just played Chris Welfare and went down on Tabletop Simulator in a I think Pask is running a knockout series or some type of tournament, online tournament. But the Tabletop Simulator community has been growing quite significant, especially as England goes back into lockdown. America's got a lot of uncertainty when it comes to events and events being shut down. So it's been a really good spread to kind of see the different local metas as well, because we've got this tabletop meta, and not all of the hindrances. People can pick up models. They don't have to buy and paint them. They can test things. So I think that'll play a big part when it comes to actual tabletop.
Yeah, absolutely. And And people will find out very quickly what doesn't work in Tabletop Simulator without having to spend large amounts of money too, which is
Yeah. I've seen a lot of like Lumineth building around Battle Cattle. I know some people were like, look, the theory behind Battle Cattle sounds good, but what does it actually look like? And some people have been testing some ideas around. So I think that's been a godsend for people who have been stuck, or maybe they don't have the place to play games because of lockdown, because of they just can't find opponents, or maybe they're not feeling as confident to be in a space like that. So I think we're in a good spot, man. There's a lot of things coming up. I'm very excited. I'm praying for things coming from Broken Realms to shake up the meta, both the narrative meta and the gaming meta. So I think we're in a good spot.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait for the narrative to sort of progress with Broken Realms.
Yeah, I'm really excited. But we'll talk Broken Realms probably as our topic of the episode, because there is a lot to go through. But I thought I might let's do a bit of hobby progress, and something Clint and I were kind of talking about before we got online was maybe in future episodes, if people want to share their hobby progress with us and maybe get a feature, and we kind of show off some people in the Australian and New Zealand community. Maybe in future episodes we'll kind of gather some of these photos. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, do let me know in the comments section. And maybe once a month we will showcase some people's photos as well. And because there's some awesome hobby in our community. Very impressive people, not just people like Sloan and the Jameses of the world, both Queensland James and Canberra James. There are some really talented people in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And with everybody sort of not having events to go to, some people have gravitated and done a lot of hobby and progressed really far. So we'll just have a look. Oh, look at that. It's all fancy.
So I thought I'd bring up your hobby. So what have you been up to?
Well, you've got the Nurgle guy there because I played a game against a guy called Brad in our local scene, and he was running Nurgle, and he kicked my butt. And I'm like, Nurgle models are pretty nice. So I just went and bought the cheapest Nurgle model they had to paint. And that's kind of scratched that itch for me as far as the urge to do a Nurgle army. So, yeah, I enjoyed painting it, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if I could do an army full of Blight Kings, which are all essentially characters.
You're chasing the meta. You got your butt kicked by Nurgle, so you're going to chase Nurgle now.
No, I'm actually painting last year's filth. On the other side there, we've got 40 Mortek Guard. That I've been painting up actually on my hobby stream over on Twitch. Been dry brushing them up and painting poor men's OSL blades and stuff like that on them. They're sort of waiting for me to put some basing materials on the tufts and some snow. And then I'll have that 40 done, and then I can progress with all the other stuff.
Have you been painting a lot? Like I know you recently been doing Twitch. I know when I stream hobby hangouts, I get almost nothing done. The chat is always disrupting me. It's a good disruption, guys, but I actually get no hobby done. But how are you finding your hobby progress? Are you finding during this COVID lockdown period you're doing more hobby? Are you finding less hobby? Because I know for myself, I am someone who's driven by deadlines, and I like the idea of tournament deadlines, not to rush my painting but like a hard deadline. Like, look, you got to find time. You got to do this. You got to commit. I've been a real hobby butterfly. I have been all over the shop for the last 6 months, starting projects, shelving projects, starting shelf projects. My house is insane with just half started sprues everywhere. I'm waiting for the divorce papers to arrive any day now.
They're hidden under all of your models that you got sent. I have both painted and on-sold 2 hobby projects. So 2 armies I've done in lockdown. Played for a bit, sold. My Beastman and the Wraith Fleet army that I've recently had on Twitter that got a bit of love. That's on its way to a guy in Perth as of today. But I've done a lot of hobbying in the last couple of months, just because we're not playing. We don't, but it's been sort of random models like this Nurgle guy, and I've painted up some Space Wolves for 40k. You know, that other game. In the work in progress photo here, on sort of mid to bottom left, you can see one of the Oryx from Underworlds,
Yeah.
and there's one in the back as well. So I was painting up them on stream the other night and showing people how I did the orange in a way that didn't make you want to hurt yourself afterwards. Like
orange is one of those. If you don't know how to paint orange, it's one of those colors that just drives you insane. White is another one, but orange is, and even yellow, it's really hard, especially like some people, the way you prime the model, and then people just constantly put layer and layer and layer. So
so this was like 3-layer orange that's nice and vibrant. So I was showing people how I got that effect and things like that. So just picking up the projects and moving them on. But yeah, I've got half done sort of Anvil Guard army over on the counter there, and I've been the same as you, hobby butterflying, but I have actually finished some stuff, and hopefully we'll get this OBR finished in time to take to some events soon.
And as Noobs has said, and I've said this to you many times privately, is that you are the Australian 2+ tough, because he is a hobby butterfly. He starts a project, he sells it, he starts a new one. I like to think that he's just exploring the Age of Sigmar world really fast. But like you are becoming quickly, and that's a good trait.
I will take that. I will take that comparison, Doug.
Because everyone calls 2+ tough the Bob Ross of Age of Sigmar. So by I guess association, you are Australia's Bob Ross.
Yeah, I don't think that's the bit that they were comparing me to. So yeah, no, I'll take that though.
And it's good to see the chat, people are talking about painting OBR, and I think some very cool OBR people are now kind of exploring some of the other parts of OBR. I can see, people talking Anvil Guard, more talking about Clint's deep, buttery, smooth voice. I love that.
Somebody needs to get their headphones checked, I think.
Clint will start an ASMR stream on Twitch any day now.
Yeah, that's after the painting. The painting show is on for a couple of hours, and then sort of after midnight we switch over to ASMR.
Oh, lordy. And then we kind of migrate to the OnlyFans account where the shirt starts coming off. But speaking of shirts, well, I don't know, man. I've had some people ask me about
Look
calendars.
at all these gargants. Look at all these gargants here. I was going to
segue. Speaking of models or people who don't have a shirt, so I have been an absolute hobby butterfly since COVID lockdown. So I was really gung ho with my Cities of Sigmar at the start of the year. I took Hello Heart to CanCon. This was going to be the year of Cities of Sigmar. I took Tempest Eye to SAGT, and I converted my gun haulers to be out of steam tanks, flying steam tanks. I'd gone to a lot of effort. I had the Ice Queen of Kislev riding a Frost Phoenix. I'd gone out and bought a black Carmine Dragon. I painted a Carmine Dragon to be a black dragon, and I was really going crazy hobby. And I think for me, when COVID kind of hit, I wouldn't say demoralized, but I didn't see the light in the tunnel, and I kind of put that project on hold. And for me, I've done a whole bunch of things. At the time, I'd signed up to a 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy tournament, which had been cancelled since. So I'd started up a 1,500 point Empire point army, and I'd started painting that, and then it got cancelled, so that project got shelved. I was picking up Blood Bowl. We're going to do some Blood Bowl stuff. Halfway painted that. That got shelved because, again, the event and some of the community we were kind of going to do, it kind of all stalled. Painted some squigs during the Jaws of Mork. But for me, the minute I saw Gargants and the Suns coming out were like it really captured me. And if anyone's followed me on Twitter or Discord, you probably seen me being quite constructive. And I just did a podcast with Combat Phase at Kenny Lull. And for me, the Gargants have captured my imagination, and I'm really excited to play them. I'm not a GW insider, so I'm not getting free models. I'm not being paid to say it. Are they an army that will go 5-0 at their next tournament? No. Will they go 0-5? No. Do I think they're somewhere in between? Absolutely. Will I have fun in every game? Absolutely. Has it scratched my itch to convert, paint, build, bring some schemes to life. Like you can just see a sample of what I've been doing here. I've been green stuffing hair. I've been kit bashing, leg poses. I've got one guy who's stamping, one guy who's kicking. I've got a guy at the back, got a flail using a Kharadron Overlord's balloon. So it's like a flail. I've tried to convert like the old, I don't know if you remember the old Warhammer giants from Albion, the Dogs of War.
Yeah, with the big stone. Yeah, I can see him in the back there, yeah.
I've tried to kind of, try to do that. So I've been doing that, and then in parallel doing armies on parade board. So I've kind of left a hot garbage picture here, not to reveal too much, but in parallel, I'm doing an armies on parade board that this will be my first armies on parade. I've never entered. I came third at CanCon with the coolest army. Although I've never actually officially, that was my, I've never really entered armies on parade. And despite it not being a store tournament, despite it being online, I'm really motivated to dip my toes in the water, see how it goes. And you know what, there are some really cool people out there, but I'm competing with myself, and I'm going to put out the best display board that I'm going to be proud of, despite if I think I can win it or not.
Yeah, I'm loving your Gargants, and since they've been released, you have seen so many people just tweaking those creative muscles and making the most bonkers, crazy, awesome models from both the old Gargant kit and the new Mega Gargants. They've just like this. They're like a half completed canvas, like, so they're not blank canvas, so they're half complete canvas, and people are just doing all sorts of crazy stuff to finish it off, and it's so cool.
Yeah, I think for me, like one of the things I've really enjoyed, I think Cities of Sigmar unlocked this. I was talking to Ricky Smith about this in an episode he did in the past, and I was saying that, Cities of Sigmar for me has been one of the most important books in Age of Sigmar, because it has unlocked creativity. If you look at how people have tried to synergize their dwarf force and made dwarf hurricanums, or people like me who have made a human phoenix guard, and people are trying to bring this synergy together. I've never seen so much creativity in one army, and I feel like this is another army where people are just going to town. I've seen people, they're wielding endless spells. I've seen people, Warhammer community has put some pretty cool models out there. People painting. Really drawing inspiration from like Dungeons and Dragons and mythology, fire giants, ice giants, stone giants. They all don't have to be traditional flesh color. And I've seen, some amazing conversions where people have like cut up the model and it's very nurgly and it's got tentacles, or they've gone and made it undead. Like Deke has got a very cool undead version, which has like the guts hanging out and very zombified Gargant. So I think for me, probably now after COVID as well, it's kind of like what I'm after in an army right now is very different. Am I chasing the meta with Shootcast or Kharadron Overlords, or a crazy mortal wound dealing Lumineth? Probably not. So I think this is scratching a lot of itches. And to answer Hoops' question as well in the chat, like when it comes to timelines and projects, I think there's been a couple of things for me with my projects. I got really excited about playing 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy, and it was an opportunity to play. I was going to play an all-night army, and I was really excited because, the reward is to play with the models on the day. And I think once that event got cancelled, I'm like, well, what's the point? And like, obviously the point could be I could complete it. But I was just like, well, like I don't have a deadline. I don't have a goal. I could do it later. And other things just got kind of prioritized. And I don't know, like I need some type of deadline. I'm not someone who will paint an army at midnight the night before the event, but I do like to have a hard goal to strive for.
So what was Hoops' question in full?
I'll bring it up. So Hoops had asked the question and said, do you find you need loose detail in order to get the projects finished by a reasonable time, or is there enough time because COVID and you can push your work back further?
Okay, interesting. I always paint to one standard, so that unfortunately doesn't apply to me. I have like a standard, and I can paint decently to that standard in a quick time, so I just smash stuff out.
I think part of the challenge that I've had is that I've really enjoyed converting. So I was converting some Scourge Runner chariots using White Lion kits. So I was making them free guild. So I had free guild guys on the back. I was using White Lion chariots. So I was trying to bring in the law of Akshi in my chariots. And because I'm converting and I'm kit bashing and I'm green stuffing, that all takes work, that takes time, that takes bits. And I think it was that part that got me stalled, where I'm like, oh, I'll just leave the project alone. Oh, I can't be bothered green stuffing here. I can't be bothered doing this. Yeah. I think that was kind of where the stalling happens. Could I put paint on a brush? Yes, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. There's a lot of cool stuff coming down the line. The narrative is starting up again. We've got events coming. I hope people don't think I'm sounding negative. I think for me, I'm feeling rejuvenated with events and armies on parade and an army. I think partially as well, if Gargants were released in, I don't know, April or May, I probably would have felt this way in April or May.
Yeah. You've been waiting for them for so long. You were just so hyped. And then they were coming.
Well, you don't want to invest too much money because you're like, oh, any day now the Gargants will come, you know.
Yeah.
The Daughters of Cain models have looked really cool, and I've liked the warband, but it's just like, oh, why bother? Gargants are coming. And then I had an order of Man Crushers where just as they got released or announced, I put in an order of 6 boxes. Oh, it was 5 boxes of the single Man Gargants, and my order was confirmed, and then it never came, and then it got cancelled. So I was just like, this just kept getting constantly beat up.
just kicked further down the road.
But I'm going to move forward because I don't want to talk about that anymore. So otherwise, it's going to sound too negative. But what has been happening is I have had some local store tournaments as well. So I did mention Hall of Heroes. I've had a couple of pickup games, just getting to practice. There's Benji, by the way, who I was talking about earlier. And it's been awesome. It's been really cool getting games out. Places are being COVID safe, which has been great. You know, people are keeping their distance. People are, you know, not touching other people's models, not touching people's dice. You know, I'm wearing a mask. You know, just things to keep ourselves safe. And it's been good to play again. I'm sick of talking about Age of Sigmar. It's been awesome to actually play.
Fair enough. That's fair.
So I came third at this store tournament. So it was a tournament of 12 people. I came third. I only lost to Benji by 1 victory point. It killed my life, but it was a cool event. I got to play Benji's Mortis Praetorian. I got to play a Dark Elf Cities of Sigmar. So Alex Murray. It was very interesting. And then I also played something. I've forgotten what I played.
You've got, is it Iron Jaws or Warclaim?
Yes, it was Big Wag. It was Big Wag. Yeah. It was Big Wag. It was Big Wag. I got to play Big Wag. So it was very cool. It was interesting to see. I think the trap people are going to find when you start playing against the Sons of Behemat is that the big guys don't do the damage. It's the little guys.
That's a fancy word for losing.
Yeah, well played. If you're not first, you're last, noobs. That's how I see it. But look, it was my 2nd to 4th games with the Suns. I'd love to see how they respond to a few armies. You know, Kharadron Overlords, for example, the Change Host, some of those higher tier armies, Shootcast. There's certainly nowhere I can hide my boys, but also things like Nighthaunt. Because I've got a lot of high damage, but it's off the back of high rend. I do worry how I will handle that type of army.
Yeah. And it would be interesting once people start getting reps in with them. In a couple of weeks, probably by the end of the year, we'll have a better idea, at least in the Australian, New Zealand sort of scene of how they do.
Well, you know, at the end of the month, I'll have at least I'll have a tournament up my sleeve, like a full 2-day tournament, so I'll get to see what the meta's like. 40 players, so it should be a good spread. We'll have, you know, again, people like. Well, we've got the mayor, Matt Tyrrell. You'll have Chris Welfare. You'll have some of the Measured Gaming boys. So there'll be a good competitive crowd attending as well. Yeah,
that's top tier sort of players.
Yeah, but no, look, it's been good. I've been playing a few games. I played the store tournament the month before with the Jaws of Mork, which was just fantastic. Running a whole army of squigs. You know what it's like. You ran squigs at Runax.
Fun is the word, and chaotic.
What have you been up to?
So in the right-hand side there is myself playing against Michael Crichton from Failed Charge. A bit of a first go with my OBR. He was running Khorne with the big dragon boy. You can kind of see in the back there. That was quite interesting. He is quite tough to deal with as OBR. And as such a big model and it's such a big base, and he has like a -3 to cast aura, and it's just, it was interesting. I think if I'd have, because it was the first game I'd ever played with the OBR, I think in a couple of games' time, once I'm a bit more across all the rules, I think it might have been a bit different, but I unfortunately lost. And then obviously there on the left is Manfred from my Wraith fleet, who went to a couple of sort of one-dayers recently. Won some favorite army awards. Though it was a really cool project to do, but the army itself played not well. It was very much a form over function kind of army. It's a style over substance. It's like, oh, what can I make this into, and what can I use to be piratey and this, and then in the end I'm like, okay, so
and you had a cool Charybdis, your Charybdis had a cut off head, and it had a bit of like skeleton kind of hanging out.
It was all about the conversion project rather than how it functioned on the tabletop, really. So
hope you don't regret this decision to sell it. Let's say Legions of Nagash is the second or the next Broken Realms, and there's some cool synergies that you're like, man, I wish I didn't sell that. Because it is a cool army.
It's a cool army. I think it's going to go and be like a feature army at an FLGS over in WA. So that's pretty cool. So it'll have life beyond me. And you know me, I do a project, I finish it, I play it a little bit, and I move it on. Same with my squigs, my beasts, whatever. I've still got Legion stuff here. So if Legions is busted, I can still jump on it easily. Don't worry.
Do you think Legion's are going to get something? Because we're kind of segueing now into Broken Realms, but
we are a little bit, yeah.
It's good. Like, it's been good again. I think getting events has really boosted the spirits, and I do feel bad for anyone who's currently in lockdown or currently not able to play games. And hopefully, just know that by hanging in, your day will come. Things are coming, and it'll be well worth the wait. But I am super excited to start seeing things come back. Unfortunately, CanCon has been cancelled for the upcoming year. So it's not like we have a lot of big tournaments coming, but we're kind of starting to see store events, 20-man events, 30-man events. I think I've seen the Bendigo boys are starting to put on some small events. I think the Borderline gaming guys are putting on small events. So we're starting to kind of see these 10, 15, 20, 25 player events starting to pick up, and hopefully with Steam, with some things going our way, we'll continue to build over time.
Yep, definitely.
Cool. Well, you want to get into the topic? You got anything else to say, or should we get straight into the topic?
Let's go straight into Broken Realms. Let's break those realms.
You sure?
Yeah.
Really?
Have I forgotten something? You're being awfully cryptic.
No, I'm just stalling while I just change screens.
Okay, right. I see.
I'm just stalling. But before we talk into Broken Realms, so I guess, and maybe I'll get your observations in a second with what your thoughts are and like what do we know so far when it comes to Broken Realms. But before we do that, I wanted to highlight something that I was super excited to see this morning, and that is this article. And when I first saw this article come up, and we'll have a community, I thought, just another dodgy sales article, and was like, what is this? Like, more reasons to visit your store. And I started reading it, and I'm like, okay, cool, it's a Games Workshop guy. And then I read this little piece here that I wanted to highlight. It's like a free model with every month. And I'm like, what is this? And then I'm reading it further, and it says, just stop by your local Warhammer store and ask. So this month, for the month of November, you get a free Witch Elf. And I'm like, what? Like, what?
Is that a regular Witch Elf, or is that out of like Underworlds or something?
I'm not 100%
Yeah.
across the witch elf range. This might be a specially built witch elf. Maybe the chat can tell me if this is a existing model, a purpose built model. But I was talking to the Discord, and I was thinking and reminiscing on the times where maybe you and I very first got started into Warhammer, and how frequently White Dwarf used to have a free model. You know, the free Necron, the metal Necron, the free Saurus Warrior, the free is it Anua, the sword, the Hyde mercenary for Mordheim. We've had a free Slaughter Priest. We've had a couple of free models, but rarely have we haven't really seen any free models for a while. And it kind of took me back. Autumn's telling me it's a regular witch elf, and
Okay.
and what's really cool though is that, you know, stores are putting little painting competitions as well when it comes to this model. So it kind of took me back to a time where we used to get a whole bunch of free models, and it can be that one model that kickstarts your new army. So obviously the sales tactic is there, but
Yeah.
did you see this?
No, I didn't. I went looking on a Warhammer community today to look at the Broken Realm stuff to make sure I was brushed up on it for our main topic of discussion, and just kind of breezed past this. Yeah, I remember getting like a free Terminator and stuff like that, and on the cover of White Dwarf and things like that. So this is all well and good, but my closest GW store is 2.5 hours away.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry for you.
I'm not driving 2.5 hours for a witch elf.
I got one 10 minutes away, and I'm going there anyway this Saturday for Broken Realm. So so that was really cool, and they're doing some things here that if you, I think each month they're going to have these little coins. If you spend what sounds like the equivalent of a start collecting box in products, so you don't have to buy a start collecting box, but I think start collecting box is here, what, 160 AUD, 150, 160.
Yeah, in that range, 150, 160 bucks. So yeah, okay.
The conversion numbers they've given here aren't Australian. They've given some numbers for other countries, like 100 USD and things. But long story short, each month it looks like there's going to be some coin. This month is themed for Daughters of Cain. So if this is your kind of thing and you are thinking about buying some product, whether it's a start collecting or a combat patrol or whatever it might be, some cool little tokens will come your way as well. There's going to be 6 of them. 6 different coins they're saying. So cool.
Yep, that's cool. I do like that they've put the conversions in there for all the countries that don't actually have open stores at the moment, sort of as of today. But you know, we're just down here enjoying our open stores and stuff. No conversions for us.
Look, if I was going to spend 160 bucks on a start collecting box, I would love this token. Is this token enough for me to go out and buy a whole bunch of start collecting boxes every month? Probably not, but it's a nice little thing for free. And the other thing for free is that they've got this idea, and I thought this was an interesting thing, is that if you buy 10 paints, you get one free. So it looks like some mix and match deal. So if you're going to go in and, again, buy a bunch of 10 paints, whether it's contrast, whether it's metals, whether it's your base colors, and you do buy a whole bunch of paints, you'll get one free. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
If you're going to go buy something from GW.
Yeah, absolutely. If your GW store is your local, those 2 things are awesome, especially with the amount of stuff that's going to be coming out soon with, you know, Broken Realms, as we'll get into shortly. But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we don't know the prices of the Broken Realms book just yet, but if you buy, I don't know, a kit and Broken Realms, that probably pushes you into the coin range. And to answer one question from the chat is, how much do you have to spend to get the 6 objective markers, the coins? So they're free. Pardon?
To get 6 of those coins, lots.
Look. So you don't have to spend. So the coins are free if you make a purchase. So the purchase value is about 150, 160. We'll have to wait for confirmation for Australia's price or New Zealand's price. But if you spend the equivalent of a start collecting box, that price tag, it does come with your purchase. So I guess for 6 months, you're about to buy 6 start collecting boxes, or $150, give or take.
Yeah. $800 to $1,000. So they're expensive objective markers. I imagine they want 6 of the Daughters of Cain ones. I believe that's probably what that question is. Or 6 of the one coin.
You can buy one from me, eBay. But they would be actually cool objective markers. That was actually what I was thinking when I first saw that. I thought that would be a cool objective marker.
That's fair.
I'm not going to put it in a collector's box and, you know, show my friends and family when they come around at Christmas time. Oh, look at my Marathi collecting coin.
Do you not do that?
Well, first off, I don't want people coming to my house anyway. This means I have to clean up.
I'm kidding. Warhammer doesn't get displayed inside the house here. It's all here in the garage.
Yeah,
it's not allowed. I'm not allowed a cabinet inside.
So that obviously works if you are in an area where Warhammer is a Warhammer store is available. Obviously, for our rural, I don't know how it's going to work with our FLGS friends. I don't know if they'll get some tokens, but anyway, I thought nonetheless, if you were going to buy something, this was a nice thing to be offering. I thought the Witch Shelf as well was again something cool, and it kind of took me back to a time where we did get to paint. I've been eyeing off that Underworld's Daughters of Cain warband for a while, so this will start the itch, and it may I might be happy just painting one, or it actually might create a full rash, and I'm going to go buy that Underworlds and then maybe get suckered into the Shadow and Pain.
Speaking to people who have painted Witch Elves, I feel like you'll paint one and then you'll go and buy anything else. Like, by the time that you've painted all that flesh and the gold bangles and stuff like that, I reckon you'll go and you'll buy, like, Stormcast, so you don't have to paint flesh anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, Contrast Paint as well has come out, so I know some people who paint like the 120 Witch Elves pre-contrast. Again, I think. Anyway, we've talked too much about this. I think it's a cool thing if you are around. If you do have a local Games Workshop or a Warhammer store, it might be something you want to go visit over the weekend. If it's not, 7 hours away, I don't think a free Witch Elf justifies a 7-hour drive.
No, absolutely not.
And our good friend Gabe is saying, who spends $150 a month, right? I feel like he's justifying.
Yeah, and then all these people trying to flex in the chat, and it's like, I spent $1,000 in the last 2 weeks, dude. That's not good. That's not healthy.
To be fair, I have as well with Gargans. Let's to be fair, but that was I haven't made a major purchase at Games Workshop for a while, and that was my big just drop the mic, and I probably won't spend a lot of money for a while, but then something like Shadow and Pain is going to catch me and I'm going to cry. Broken Realms.
Sweet.
Broken Realms, what is it? What do we know? Why are you excited? What does it mean? Like, what's your take so far? And there's been a lot of hot takes. We actually don't know anything other than the Warcom articles and a lot of speculation. But what do we know so far, and what does this all mean to Age of Sigmar?
Righto. So, Broken Realms is basically going to be a narrative event that pushes the Age of Sigmar setting forward and the story forward in such a way that there's discussion about what it's all setting up for, but we're getting some story progression, which is something that we've all come to love, I imagine, in Age of Sigmar. The fact that we are several hundred years in the future compared to where we started the game 5 years ago. The story's progressed, things have changed, cities have risen, that sort of stuff. And I feel like we've had the Necroquake and all the endless spells and all that sort of stuff. And I think that Broken Realms is going to be the next jump and the start of the next storyline. Obviously, in this first one, Marathi's being a bit naughty and chasing, actually trying to replace Cain. But I feel like if there was a series of books in 40k leading up to their new edition called Psychic Awakening, and what that did was that drove the story forward and gave all of the armies something awesome as part of the story progression. You got cool characters came out, or they got new rules and things like that. And I feel like this is our version of that. I feel we're heading perhaps into a new edition, or perhaps just a new paradigm for Age of Sigmar. So
there is a lot of speculating that and there has been speculating for a while now that there will be a new edition. It seems like Games Workshop is currently in a 3-year cycle. So The last edition we had was 2018, which was the Soul Wars, where we had Nighthawk Stormcast. We haven't seen Stormcast updated since that point. And ironically enough, we did have a running joke for some time where Stormcast basically got a battle tome almost every 6 months. But then we kind of haven't really seen anything for a while, and people have been speculating that that 2021 come June, which is the new financial year for Games Workshop, could be the time that we see 3rd edition. And for anyone who isn't a 40k player, there were, I believe, 9 books. There were 9 Psychic Awakening books that were kind of led up to the release of what we now know is 3rd edition, which is happening. So what I really loved about Psychic Awakening, and I don't know if we'll get that, but there were new models released as well. There was a package of I can't remember exactly the term, but there was an Eldar Yanari lady walking with a cat. There was the big long trail. There was Saint Celestine as well with some,
That's from before
was
that.
It before? Was that even before?
That was from when they introduced into 8th. So Psychic Awakening gave us things like an updated Fabius, an updated Ragnar.
Yes,
it's a lot more recent, but they got boxes and they got models and stuff. I
remember them getting models. I remember getting them something. I've obviously mixed up my timelines, but I remember them getting stuff, and it seemed like everyone got something. It was a bit of like, you get an update, you get an update, and AoS Hoops is already asking, do you think we're going to see Manfred getting a War Scroll update, or are we going to see him stay in the bin?
You can ban people out of the chat, right? We're definitely seeing a Broken Realms Manfred coming. Don't worry.
Maybe we'll see Manfred Ascended. But so basically, we're going to have a bunch of books. So if your army wasn't covered, and I think I'll go to the website. So in Marathi, we're going to have a couple of factions that are going to be covered. We've got the Daughters of Cain. We're going to have Cities of Sigmar, and we've got a cool new, I guess, allegiance, a city that is kind of aspired around, I guess, a dark elf build and a named sorceress on Black Dragon, which is going to be awesome. We do have a Stormcast army, and we can go the rules in a minute, but the Stormcast are actually going to have like a 1 in 4 Cities of Sigmar, so it's almost like a bit of a reverse of the way cities work. Kind of. It doesn't quite work as based on what we currently know, but there'll be like this combination of cities and Stormcast under Stormcast allegiance. We've also got some rules for Slaves to Darkness, and we've also got some Iden the Deepkin, and we know that Iden the Deepkin's going to get a couple of rules updates as well. So not only are there going to be new sub-allegiances, potentially new artifacts, potentially new rules, but we're actually seeing some War Scrolls rewritten. Not all, but some.
And I think they'll use this opportunity to plug gaps where, like, Unneth are a good army. There's just some War Scrolls that just need to be a bit adjusted to make the book internally balanced. And they obviously don't want to release a whole book for Unneth to do that. So this is an opportunity to just plug those gaps until, another 2 years down the line or whatever when Unneth get a book. And I think the city stuff is really cool because they had kind of set up the cities book in such a way that you could see them doing this, that they would come back and they would plug these holes and give us extra cities and stuff. So,
by the way, the chat seems to be enjoying that you schooled me in 40k. I haven't played 40k since like 4th edition. I still got my Metal Sisters. There goes my retirement fund, guys. But you have been playing 40k, so I'll take that one on the chin.
I just kind of stay across the lore and stuff like that of 40k. I don't play it very often.
I give 0 Fs to 40k.
So basically, we're basically getting Psychic Awakening, which is going to be cool. Hopefully, we don't get 9 books though, because that was a bit crazy. They were coming out like once a month, once every couple of weeks. $70 book. But it's cool that armies are getting love without having to get a new battle tome and things like that. So we've got this stopgap.
And there's a lot of speculation. So I know this piece of art really created some speculation, because you will notice, for anyone with an observant eye, you will see Big Marathi and Little Marathi in the same picture. And people were just like, wait, what? You can't do that. It's either big or small. And when you start kind of looking into this and thinking about how Marathi might ascend and the alliance, well, not the alliance, but I guess the story progression with Kane, we start to potentially see a new version of Marathi come through via this book, and a lot of speculation that we're going to have both models on the table at the same time.
That's not speculation. That's in a Warhammer community article, either out of this one or the one.
I'm trying to build suspense. I've got the tabs here in chronological order, and I'm about to go into then the clobbering. Then I was going to go into the rules, but you are ruining Christmas, Clint.
Don't. It's not Christmas.
This is your first warning. This is your first warning.
Don't be building suspense on something that's got a payoff in about 10 minutes. Like, there's no point. People know. People know already. You're not revealing a big secret.
Wait up. I'm calling Liam. All right, cool. We've spoiled Christmas. There is a Warhammer community article talking about having Marathi on the table at the same time. But long story short, there is a new book coming, Marathi, very, very cool. A nice little trailer that I really enjoy the Marathi videos. When Marathi very first come out on the Battle Tome videos, were very, very cool. It captured our imaginations. I remember at CanCon. Oh, no, was it CanCon? I think people were kind of surrounding these videos, sharing.
CanCon, yeah, on the Friday before.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we know that. And then we started getting this article, and they've said that they'll be sharing these short stories on a regular basis. I think they said monthly or fortnightly. I can't remember the exact timeline, but the first story, very similar to remind me of the Malign Portents. So leading into the Soul Wars, we had this little campaign called Malign Portents, not Malign Sorcery, Malign Portents, which is a set of stories that they had leading into this, I guess, narrative campaign, where we got to trial what is now we know as a command point. Well, not command point, but the way we kind of got to play with the stratagem command point system that we didn't previously have. Did you get a chance to read the short story, Clint?
No, I haven't read the short story yet. Sorry, that wasn't on the required reading for the episode.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to tell you what to do in future. But it's a really cool short story about orcs. So so it's not quite about. I was going in thinking it was going to be about Daughters of Cain, but actually, it's a short little. It's a couple of pages, so I'd highly recommend checking that out. And who knows if this is going to mean we're going to get some named orc characters or what they're doing, or if it's just some fun. But if you don't, keep an eye out for Warhammer Community, or I think you can sign up to a newsletter and you get it a day or two in advance. So keep an eye out for that.
Cool. Yeah, and they used the Malign Portents stories to kind of just tease in some little stuff that was coming, and there was stuff in those Malign Portents stories that didn't sort of have payoffs for months until months afterwards, which was really quite cool. Because I think they sort of teased Idneth in there and all sorts of stuff. So,
well, I remember they had
the same thing.
I remember they had a story. I'm biased because I'll always remember this story where it was a man and his son defending their house. I think it was Nurgle or a Nurgle rot, basically, and the Stormcast coming to a house and basically killed this man and his child. And it was really about, it kind of showed off this different side of Stormcast where they're not the good guys; they're there for order. And if they see someone who's got Nurgle's rot, they're going to kill them instead of letting Nurgle's rot spread. Did they kill a human, a City of Sigmar person? Yes. But was it was it because it was right? Yes. So you kind of got to see this dark side of Stormcast, and there was a lot of these cool stories that they kind of got out from Malign Portents.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the sort of, we had shiny AoS 1, and then we kind of had this slide into AoS 2 where it just got darker. And then, because they were the Knights Excelsior, weren't they? Those particular Stormcast. And I think that they are like the fanatical kind of just scour the whole village kind of dudes. So,
and if you're not into reading Black Library books, or if you just want like a bit of a short burst, or maybe something quick for a train ride or whatever it might be, these have been great. These have been really cool, and there'll be more to come. Oops.
Yeah.
Wrong way. I added a tab. Now we got some rules. All right. Here's the rule. Here's Clint ruining Christmas. So we had the rules, and we started to get a bit of a sneak peek when it come to some of what's kind of coming about. So what do we learn so far? So we started to see that we had a bit of a build when it comes to, I guess, a new kind of Medusae or a snake-based focus. And that probably comes no surprise given that Shadow and Pain is built out of snakes as opposed to a Witch Elf builds.
Yeah, they're called collectively the snakes and the Kinerai and the Melusai are called Scathborn. And this is like, I love it. It's like, this is Marathi's like Shadow Ops temple. And these are who she gets to do her dirty work and to get rid of opposition and things like that. So, that's why we're sort of just hearing about them now, which is really cool. And I like that they're focusing on those two fairly unique sets of units.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think people got surprised with the new Underworlds warband, which was Marathi's models, but you were going, wait a second, this is Malarian. This is going to be the new version of the Shadow Elves, but you can kind of see this little migration of the lore and kind of realizing they're not separate, but rather there's a bit of synergy between the two.
Oh, the Warcry warband.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, trying to figure out what you meant. Yeah,
I'm not talking the Daughters of Cain Underworld warband. I'm talking about the new one that's just come out in the box set. Yeah, and they're really playing off the shadow lore and I guess the shadow experience and having some teleport shenanigans as well. So,
yarp, it's gonna be cool.
We got to see a new version of a new battalion. So we got to see, I thought it was quite interesting. I'm like, wait a second, 2 shrines, 2 Bloodrack shrines. What is going on here? So we started to see we got some new battalions as we kind of start progressing into, and obviously this is contextual, right? We don't have all of the information. This is just a sample into the rules. So we don't know exactly how they're all going to play about. Then we've got essentially this drug lord. I'm calling it a drug lord, but basically I thought this was quite interesting that you've now got narcotics coming into play here.
Yeah, so Misthaven it's been marked on the map for Cities of Sigmar for a little while. So it's good to see, you can see that they're going to go back and they're going to fill in these random places when they need to and things like that. So yeah, it's cool. It's like, because Anvil Guard's already like black market and slightly dodgy and whatever, and Misthaven is like the people who are too dodgy for Anvil Guard go to Misthaven.
And we saw Soulbound, yeah, the RPG. That really started creating more cities of Sigmar that we didn't know about. I think probably the most famous one that people might have heard of is Brightspear. But there's a whole bunch of other cities, and Misthaven is one of those. So whether it's going to be through White Dwarf Chronicles, whether it's going to be through things like the Broken Realms, I really like the idea of being able to bring together some new different cities that allows you potentially to play your army differently. I know there's some speculation. I can't remember if it's actually in a rule, but I know there's a lot of speculation or some people praying that there might be a 1 in 4 Daughters of Cain in this army or something like that. So
it wouldn't surprise me because, the other cities, you got Living City, which is Sylvaneth, and Tempest Eye, which is KO, and things like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if they just give it that little bit of a nod. But it really depends on the narrative, because if Marathi is like just going to start wiping all these cities off the map, they're not going to really have Daughters of Cain in them.
Maybe not. But hey, back in Warhammer Fantasy days, there was a sub-allegiance or an allegiance called the Cult of Slanesh, where it was a combination demonettes and it was Marathi or the Witch Elves. So who knows? Maybe there is part of the story where the Witch Elves are in partnership with the cities for some reason, and that allows you old Dark Elf players to bring your forces back together as opposed to having 2 split forces.
Pretty much. Autumn Wargaming has just sort of said that there's a battle plan mentioned on one of those content pages called the Fall of Anvil Guard. Do we think it'll be destroyed or just sort of sacked a bit? I don't think that they would destroy it because there's an awful lot of build up on it. Like, they've just released a book in Soulbound for Anvil Guard. So I reckon it'll probably get messed up a lot, but it won't be gone, I don't think.
Cinder4 Games telling me that Cult of Slaanesh was retconned. No, it's not retconned if it stays in my heart, and I've still got the old book, so it can't be
The old Storm
retconned.
Chaos book.
Yeah. But like, it just shows you that the opportunity to. I mean, back in the day, there used to be plague flagellants. There were some crazy ideas. So again, what we know today as a witch elf, there is no reason why it couldn't be brought into a Cities of Sigmar or some type of redeemed chaos. Like, who knows, man? The story can take us wherever it wants to take us. The Stormcast one is certainly an interesting one. My hot takes here, well, not my hot takes, but my takes would be it doesn't quite work the way, if you are a Cities of Sigmar player, it doesn't quite work the same way. So if you are Cities of Sigmar, you would know that 1 in every 4 of your models or your units can be a Stormcast, and they gain the keyword of that city. So that Stormcast would become a Hallowheart, a Tempest Diet, whatever it might be, and gain those rules. Based on what we currently know about this Stormkeep, 1 in 4 units can be Cities of Sigmar. They get a boost in bravery if they're near a Liberator. They can benefit from a command ability from the Battle Tome Stormcast Eternals. But we don't know how it interacts with things like prayers and other rules.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to how all those things are worded. And I think it's going to be one of those things that people will sit down and they'll have the Cities book and they'll have the Stormcast book and they'll figure out how these two match up and what the best cross-pollination is. And we could also, these are retyped, right? They're not direct book extracts. There might be extra wording. There might be a little bit different. It has happened before. So it's cool though. Like, it matches a lot of the artwork. You had all the Stormcast, and then the unit of Flagellants that's following around Sigmar's chosen. It kind of matches the.
Think about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we had those Cities of Sigmar boxes released during Firestorm, and Hammerhall had a Hurricanum, a bunch of Stormcast. There was a dispossessed version, so it was a bunch of dwarves and Stormcast. And because it was like a 50-50 box, you never could run it the way that the box was created. This now allows you to
Firestorm,
unless you played Firestorm or you brought him as or just doing mixed order. But I think for me, like, the very first thing I saw people talking about was getting Iron Drakes into Anvils of Heldenhammer and double tapping Iron Drakes in the hero phase, and right now it doesn't look like you can do that.
I don't think so.
Well, currently we don't know, but it doesn't look like right now there's any reference to say that you get the Anvils keyword. But know that there might be some combination. And I know when I was talking to Darren Watson, we were struggling to find a couple of synergizing ways that you could bring those together without the keywords. There's not a lot of like Hurricanum used to be able to buff order units. It's now Cities of Sigmar. So I think there's 3 heroes we kind of found at the time that would benefit cities, but who knows what else is coming.
So it's interesting that they talk about Stormkeep garrisons. So 1 in every 4 units in a Stormkeep army, so not a Stormcast Eternals army, Stormkeep army. So it's probably, once again, it's a subset. And whether they get the Storm Host, because like in a regular Stormcast Eternal army, everything in that army gets the host, right? So if you were putting city stuff into the host, it would get into the proper army, it would get the keyword. But these sound like they're a separate type of army. So look, we will find out probably in a couple of days, and we'll look crazy because we've talked for so long about it, and people it says right here in the book that you can't do anything.
A man will read book eventually, but I think some people are really getting their creative juices flowing to think about. We cities players are like, cool, let's bring some Stormcast units in. And I think now for cheap screens, there's some cool things you can bring into your Stormcast army that might diversify the build. And speaking of diversifying, I think the thing that has probably caught most people's interest is hashtag Shark Meta. And that is, not only are we getting some cool new rules for Deepkin, but we are going to get some War Scroll rewrites. So they've specifically said, I think there's 4 different War Scrolls being rewritten, but which is going to be great as well. We're going to see some cool things and some buffs to Alapexes. So Shark Meta is back. Ben Spinetti is leading the charge there and has been for a number of years.
Oh, absolutely. His army won't change. It'll just get really awesome. So they're updating both Eidolons, the Alapexes, and the Leviatons. So they were the stuff in the book that wasn't quite as good as your Eels and your Achillean Kings and stuff like that. So they just have to take them up just a notch. And I think overall, the Idoneth Allegiance will be in a really good place then. And I think we'll see a lot more variety in lists. So that's really cool.
Just I think we need maybe a tweak in the Namadi Thralls, maybe just tweak them slightly.
Maybe, yeah. But tweaking their base size, I think, is what the issue with those are.
I can't see a great rebasing of the Deepkin. Maybe just range 2 weapons might be an easier fix than rebuilding. And then lastly and finally, the army that created so much rage on the internet, that is the Slaves to Darkness. And the reason there was a lot of rage was because of this page.
Was it really rage, or was it rage? Or was it just amusement?
Oh, there was some Slaves players to me like, where are my rules? You said there was going to be rules. And as you look at this image, chat, tell me where Slaves to Darkness is. The correct answer, it's not there. It's clearly, guys, it's clearly a mistake. The last two, page 116 and page 119, are your Slaves to Darkness. So there's clearly a mistake there, but this has kind of given us a bit of an insight to what is actually going to come. And you can start to see, as you've mentioned, Leviathan, the Eidolons, the Alapexes, the Mount trait coming in for Idoneth Deepkin, I think has raised a few eyebrows. We start to see the Stormkeep battle traits, the Warden of the Stormkeep. We're probably seeing some battalions here, the Garrison, the Patrol, the Brotherhood. You're starting to see... Cool. You start to see a name. There's a named character as well. The sorceress on the Black Dragon becomes a named character. Again, we see some really, really cool things coming about. And then there's a page 46 and page 98, where you see this Marathi -Kane, which people are like, what?
Yeah. So, look, I reckon it's going to be cool. You can see they've got the different battalions and bits and pieces in there, and giving us a hint at what's coming. Yeah, and then obviously whoever did that page up mucked up the formatting of the slaves units stuck right there at the end of Idoneth Deepkin. So
I think for me, one of the interesting ones, and I really want to know what this is, but page 92 to page 98 are Battle Tome updates. What is that?
Is it 98 or 96?
Well, sorry, 92 to 96.
So that's what, like it's two double-sided, double-sided pages in the book. I imagine, I don't know whether, because we've got other War Scroll pages listed later, so it'll be interesting whether they're sort of more summaries of what's going to happen, or these rules replace the rules in your book, kind of explanatory stuff. So I don't know.
I'm guessing it's probably the latter. If I look at the rules, the Jaws of Mork, the Troggoth, some of those White Dwarf rules where they've said, like, for example, these rules replace the Loon Shrine that's in your Battle Tome. Potentially that could be the change. We could get spells, artifacts. There could be a bunch of things that will be coming. But I think for me, when I look at this, if I'm Cities, Stormcast, Deepkin, Slaves, or Daughters, I am optimistic. And then I guess I'm looking at people in the chat talking about their Sylvaneth, people like you who are, Legions of Nagash. I know I was really surprised when I looked at the General's Handbook and saw no love to Nagash. I thought, wait a second, where is the love to Legions of Nagash? We can only assume that
it's coming.
It's going to come, and probably Nagash and his army, his Nighthaunt, his OBR, Flesh Eater Courts, although they're not quite Nagash's. We're gonna see Sylvaneth. We're gonna start to see Beasts of Chaos. We're gonna see Slanesh. We're gonna see all these armies fed into equivalent books with their story progression.
Yeah, just a note on the Battle Tome updates. It's a heading, and then Daughters of Cain and stuff underneath it are subheadings. So it's just the start of that section. So
it's 4 pages. Like, is it just art?
It'll be interesting.
It could be. It could just be art. It could be actually be something more. I think just we don't know.
I reckon a quarter of this book's going to be art and photography. Maybe between a quarter and a third. I reckon.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, right, we've got at least 50%, like 70%, 60%, somewhere around there. I'm throwing numbers up right now. I haven't actually done the maths, but it was like 70% of the time I'm right all the time. That we are seeing a good combination of art, rules, and stories. And I think, we're seeing some cool battle plans as well. I'm curious about some of the new Realms of Battle rules. So you can see page 76 does have Realms of Battle. So is this Ulgu? Is this Akshi? What is the Realms of Battle bringing to the table?
Yeah, I think they've got a couple in there that there's certain places within. Sorry about that. Certain places within Ulgu, and then there's like Charwind Coast in Akshi, which is where Anvilgard is. So maybe it's just more specific Realms of Battle for that part of the realms. Full use in they look like they've got a campaign system in there as well. So
yeah, I think like if we lead off Psychic Awakening, those books were about 60%. I mean, give or take, some books are, Space Marines. There was a whole bunch of different things, but you're at least getting 50%, if not a much higher number of stories and art. So I think this is not a book that's just going to be superseded in 6 months' time with the new edition. I think you're going to get something to put on your shelf for a while.
Yep, absolutely. I went and got a bookcase the other day to start putting all these in.
Do you think that the books will be all tied into gods? Like, how do you think the other books are going to come about? Do you think it's going to be based on, because obviously Marathi's the first, right? Are we just going to see Alariel, Gorkamorka, Nagash, Sigmar?
No.
Like how do you think the other books are going to come about? Like, do you have any predictions?
So she's not a god yet, and we don't know if she becomes a god. She might become a demigod in the end, going off what the content.
She's a part of the pantheon.
She's a big player, and I think it'll be books based on big players. I saw in the chat somebody was talking about Broken Realms Gordrak, and I think that's probably a good shout because he is a big player. He's not a god, but he is the dude as far as Auric War clans go. So having like an entire Grand Alliance line up behind him is not it's not unrealistic. So look, I don't think they'll all be gods. I think that limits you a little bit because there's a heck of a lot of order gods and chaos, and then you've got the 5 chaos gods. But you then have 1 destruction and 1 death, and you're going to get only a couple of books out of that, and your story is a bit limited. So
I think it's interesting as well because people are speculating, or people at least hoping, that we start to see more named characters coming out. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I can't remember her exact. Is it Diosa? There's they're named Dark Elf on Black Dragon. We've gotten her name, and I know some people are hopefully speculating we start to see more of these named characters, whether it's a named Loon Boss on Mangler Squig, a named Frost Lord on Thunder Tusk, or Stonehorn. Dursa Crack. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up from Autumn. Autumn just made my life easier. That's the name. You pronounce it. But that's our named character that's coming from the sorceress on Black Dragon. So who knows what those rules look like, how they're going to interact. But I think people in the community have been begging for more minor characters, more named characters. We may start to see those coming out of these books.
Maybe, but they're also just rebadged kits too, though. So you saw those 4 boxes that are coming out alongside this? There's the one with the dragon. There's the Stormcast one. Am I jumping ahead too much?
No. I was just thinking. I don't think I've got that page up. But yeah, there is.
I think it was like this is what's coming next weekend. But they're just like in the boxes. It's a dude. Oh, I think it's a Lord Veritant. And then the next box is the old sorceress on Black Dragon, and the next box is the dude on the back of Chaos Chariot. So they're just giving names to the same kits, kind of like they did. Do you remember in the Realmgate Wars, we had like Gardas, Steel Soul, and then the model that they used for him was just the Lord Celestant painted differently. I think that might be doing that again, perhaps.
But it might be like I've interpreted it as like Prince Vordry, where Prince Vordry was introduced, the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, but with a minor head swap or a kit bash from the existing kit. You now have a named version, and I've always wondered why there is no named Lord, like the Huskguard on Stonehorn or a Thunder Tusk. Like, why can't they have a priest or some type of named character using an existing kit? So I'm wondering maybe if this sorceress on Black Dragon is a named version, and I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, it could just be a name, like there are the kits that we're talking about here. It could be just using a part of the kit that changes from a traditional model to a named character. I think you can see the chat having a lot of fun with the different books. My favorite would be Broken Realms Johan from.
So it's interesting you bring up Vordry, but I don't think they've done something similar to Vordry before or after.
No,
so Vordry is this weird. He's this weird little blip where they're like, well, we'll just. But he's not even specifically a build of that kit. He's just a dude on Zombie Dragon. So they've didn't do anything before that, and they didn't do anything after that. It's really weird.
The Bloodseeker Palanquin as well. Again, same kit.
That's not a named character, though.
No, but like they used the existing kit to create something special that wasn't previously. Like there was no Bloodseeker Palanquin before Legions.
No, there wasn't. But it's also not great. So at least Vordry's good.
The point is we may see some named characters that might just be using existing kits. We don't know. Stop ruining the potential. It could happen. It might not happen, but it could happen.
You're always accusing me of ruining things.
Well, I'm going to give you another strike soon. I might have to actually go to the chat and see how they feel about you and how your performance is so far. Do we need to have a performance management meeting?
Oh, you're such a salesperson.
But like these are the new kits. I think for anyone who's thinking about picking up an army, or maybe kind of getting something for Christmas, or maybe starting to think about maybe their next force, new year, new army, or maybe just dipping their toes in the water and maybe painting some Deepkin for the first time. Maybe they don't want to fully commit to an army, but just painting something up. These could work in your favor.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I was telling you the other day that I'm rereading Black Plague. Oh no, what is it? It's not Black Plague.
Plague Garden. Plague
Garden. That one. Thank you. Too many plagues, and I'm like super keen on Stormcast at the moment. So maybe that Stormcast box will find its way into my arms. Who knows?
Yeah, but like, again, and I think I saw this week the Humble Bundle has some Black Library audio dramas up as well. So if you don't want to use your Audible credits, there's some other ways to access the lore.
Yeah, definitely, and there's some good ones in that.
Yeah, some very good ones. We also got the Shadow and Pain box coming this week, which I think could be interesting. I think the Daughters might be popular, and Slaanesh might be a bit of a hard sell for some people. Certainly, most people I'm seeing are asking for the DOK side. So it could be a good way to start a new Slaanesh army on the cheap.
Yeah, I feel like the Facebook buy swap sales are going to be full of demonettes and chariots very soon. Once people grab the new character on foot for the Slaanesh, but the Daughters of Cain side, it looks exactly what you would want to start the that new temple that Marathi's sort of started.
Yeah, and then you start collecting box to get yourself a Bloodwrack Shrine, get yourself a Medusa. I know you've got a character in here as well, but you can get yourself another Medusa. Yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't want the Witch Elves, but either way, you can kind of boost this force out quite significantly. It looks like a good box if you were going to go all Daughters.
Yep, absolutely. And apparently the pricing is okay as well.
Yeah,
that's all I have heard. I haven't heard a price. I've just heard that it's good.
And who knows, like, and as Luke said in the chat, like, who knows if and it's probably a really good shout, is potentially the next book could be either, Broken Realms Slanesh, potentially finally breaking out of Light and Shadow, or it could be tied into Techless. Again, very similar narrative on how that's going to work.
Yeah, that's actually a good shout out, Luke. Yeah, because generally these boxes tie in to 2 releases coming. So, yeah.
Very possible, and we might start to see
what does all the shenanigans that Marathi is pulling at the moment, what does that do to the Elven Pantheon alliance that they kind of have? It's been a bit iffy, and Slanesh, who is just pretending to be tied up at the moment.
I think for me, this named character here, or this character that comes with the box, is interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not a demon,
No.
and we haven't seen really any mortal Slanesh, and it was clearly negated in the Hedonites of Slanesh book. So, is this the trigger for a mortal Slanesh to come? And will this come from the new Broken Realms?
Quite possibly, yeah. He isn't a demon, so like it was. I remember when this was previewed on the GW previews, and it was a big deal that he was mortal, and people were like, this is we're going to get part 2 of the Slanesh book at some point soon. So
I think a lot of people were upset that there were no mortal Slanesh. Though, wait a second, there's mortal everything. Every other god has a mortal version, but there was no mortal Slanesh, and it seemed like they were dodging the question when it kept getting asked. So, could this be the introduction to the mortal Slanesh? Maybe, or it could be coming in 12 or 18 months' time. But this could be the start or the indicator of something coming.
Luke's got another great shout out there. The Mortals in the Underworld's Warband that's coming out in Diachasm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did also see Kenothi come out of Underworld. So who knows, maybe.
Still waiting on that army.
Yeah, we've also got the old Goblin Wolf Riders. And, some things may never come out. Some things eventually will come out. Maybe this is testing the waters. But it could be, I guess for me, it could be a sign to come, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, this is the mainline. Like, this is a mainline product. This is AoS, proper. So it's definitely going to be. It's going to lead into something.
Noops reckons this is confirmed MC Hammer Slanesh. I think it's more Mad Max, the big bad guy from the original Mad Max.
Possibly, Slanesh can't be MC Hammer because he would want you to touch this rather than telling you not to.
And Techless took the pants. Techless took those pants.
Techless took the pants, yeah.
But and we're seeing we're seeing a character for the Medusa as well. So we kind of
good.
Yeah. So very cool models coming, and who knows what else is coming. But I think if this is a sign to come, and we do get some more characters coming, which would be very, very cool. I think again, some people want to name characters. I think when we were talking about this offline, it feels like a bit of a refresh to the narrative. And I think we had Soul Wars, we got introduced Malign Sorcery. Who knows? Maybe one thing that I've always been worried about or a bit curious about is that the Balewind Vortex has been out of stock for 12 months. It's not illegal. It's still got a war scroll. It's still mentioned in the General's Handbook, but the model is unavailable. So I do wonder, will Broken Realms bring our next set of endless spells or an equivalent? What else does it bring other than just rules?
Yeah, quite possibly. Who knows? It's just we've got parts of one book now, and we're trying to speculate for the next not quite 12 months. It's exciting. It's super exciting.
I'm just looking through the models. I'm just looking through the range.
It's a big sprue for the Melusai character too, by the way. Like, it's compared to the Slanesh one. Like, there's just so much going on. The Slanesh dude's like a leg and a torso, and you put the other leg on, and then the head and whatever. And then the poor snake lady looks like it'll take you all afternoon and 6 cups of coffee. So
it looks like they've put the mold lines or where the joins are in good spot. I think that's probably one thing I've appreciated is just the cleanup is not nearly as much. Broken Realms Felix. Getting
Oh,
this chat is insane. They are making up things and being distracting, but also being hilarious at the same time. Much love to all of you guys in the chat. It's nice to see you all back for the return. But overall, I think, we're starting to see some cool products. We're starting to see some ideas. And again, this is not a sales pitch. I don't work for Games Workshop. I think I'm just excited about seeing a new narrative progression, what comes with that narrative, and how does that change both the meta? How does that change the story? What does it mean for the different armies? We all kind of strive through these soul wars, and we strive for the artifacts of Sigmar. From the, we had the shackling of Slaanesh. We've had all this stuff that's happened, but the story hasn't really done much since. Like the Sons of Behemat haven't really interacted with the lore. Lumineth really hasn't really interacted. There's some daddy issues with Deepkin, but overall, Teclis hasn't really done much.
hasn't
Like the
had a
story
chance.
but the story hasn't really progressed. Like I don't feel like we've closed out Soul Wars, and I don't think we've moved into the whatever's happening next. We've kind of seen like in this void.
Yep, absolutely. But I think we're going to have a ton of books that are going to do exactly that for us, and we're going to see all of the different races get a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is this website has been helpful to get more across what's going on, the timelines, the realms, the factions, and I imagine again as more and more of these books, you clearly see that this is book one. As more books come about, we're going to see this interacting and being fleshed out, and who knows what it means for all our different armies. For me, I'd love to see some love being thrown to the Sylvaneth, to Beasts of Chaos, Khorne, Legions of the Gash, clearly. Gloomspite Gits, I'd love to see, obviously they'll be getting a whole bunch of things in White Dwarf, but what does this mean for the Bad Moon, given that the Bad Moon is in the realm of Slaanesh?
Yeah, I don't know. I think quite possibly the Gits stuff that's been coming out means that they might not get as big a deal in this. I know that's not going to be a popular take because they're a big army and people love them, and I love them too. I love Gits. I love Squigs. But I think perhaps you're kind of getting this pre-Broken Realms because they might not get as much attention in the books.
They probably got a minor part. They might be more about the ogres, and it might be more about the orcs, and that it is the ogres. Yeah. But I'd say the Spider fans would like some love.
Yeah, I think like in Psychic Awakening, I think there were a couple of factions that just got White Dwarf rules. Yeah. So they got new rules as part of the overall campaign, but they got White Dwarf stuff, not a book. So
yeah, look, not every army is going to get an equal. We've already seen that, Deepkin's getting a whole bunch of additional War Scroll rewrites. Some of them are just getting a bunch of rules or a bunch of allegiances. So I think, if I was an Age of Sigmar fan and I'm interested in lore, I think this is definitely a book that I'd be picking up to at least explore. I think there's going to be some cool things coming out, but let's see what happens and see how the story progresses, and then how that leads into AoS 3. And there's speculation of how that might work and interact, and does 40k, what currently is sitting in 40k, is that an early indicator? What does that mean for Stormcast, who poor guys haven't had an update for a while? I can't believe I'm in it. I can't believe
for them.
Actually, it does. For the first time ever, I actually do feel sympathetic for Stormcast.
2 years, 2 and a bit years, they haven't had a book for. For shame.
Yeah, Seraphon people are laughing at their face.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else we want to talk about with Broken Realms? I think, given what we know so far, and there's been, like Warhammer Weekly did an amazing speculation show. People are, got a lot of prayers and hopes of what it's going to look like. For me, like I'm open to the lore. I'm excited about the lore. We're obviously very blessed in Australia to have events coming about, so we can start to actually put these rules on the table. But at the same time, obviously we've got Tabletop Simulator, so we might start to see some of this stuff. And probably because there's not as many. One of my biggest gripes with Malign Portents, which was probably the last narrative arc that we had properly. We didn't get to sit in the space for a long time. Like, Malign Portents was like a flash in the pan. We had it for about a month and it was kind of done. I feel like with COVID and no major GTs we were all striving towards, we actually might get more people playing the narrative and playing through the books. I don't know if you get that feeling, but certainly for me, because I'm not focused on CanCon, right? Like if this was a different world sliding doors moment, I would be 3 months out or less focused on getting a CanCon tournament list. But because it's not really a goal, I can play through those campaigns. I'm not striving for masters points. I'm not trying to go 5-0. I can just sit here, enjoy the narrative, play through some of these missions, and like immerse myself.
Absolutely. It's going to have more breathing room, I think, is probably what you're sort of, than Malign Portents did. Malign Portents came out in like January alongside Legions and Nagash. And then we knew about AoS 2.
No, I feel like Malign Portents had like a month or two, and like we got the 4 Heralds, and then it was Age of Sigmar 2.
Well, we knew about Age of Sigmar 2 in like March or April because they previewed it at Adepticon. So we kind of only had a month or two. So you're right there. Yeah. But we then didn't get AoS 2 for another couple of months, but nobody paid attention to Malign Portents. Nobody, I think South Coast GT used rules from it at their event that year.
They introduced the strategy because they had stratagems. That was the first time we introduced a stratagem command point system that we kind of know today. It was different, but because back in the day in Age of Sigmar 1, only your general could activate the command ability, and you could only do 1 per turn. So bringing in these command points and your battalions giving you command points, that was kind of introduced in Malign Portents. And you're right, South Coast GT was probably one of the only major events that had tried to bring in that system to a major event.
Yeah, and they got a lot of pushback on it for a variety of reasons. But Malign Portents didn't get any breathing space. So hopefully with the way that they're doing Broken Realms, in that it's a progression of books, people get to get involved in it a little bit more. And I think it will touch more armies than Malign Portents did, because Malign Portents, you got the 4 Herald models, and then 90% of it was death anyway. I'm not going to complain. I love death. But Broken Realms will be a bit more for everyone. So
yeah, I played Deke in a few of those games, and he was really excited about playing them, and I was just like I wasn't as excited, being not a death player at the time. And I think you're right as well, having 9 what could be 8 months. So should 3rd edition come in June, which is a predicted time frame, being that we're in November right now, that's 8 months. So we are going to sit in this space for some time. So I think we're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, it will be, timelines will be interesting and obviously affected by current events. But so we'll see. But I think we've got a long time relatively to appreciate these books, and I know I will be.
I think the maps as well.
Devouring.
I think now we've got maps as well. I think that will help significantly. At least for me, I'm a map kind of guy.
Yeah, we've all got places to actually ground ourselves within the lore.
Any other hopes and aspirations from Broken Realms? I'll be going to buy it. I'll be going to go pick up my free Witch Elf as well from my Warhammer store. So I'll be definitely pre-ordering this. And who knows, maybe next Saturday we'll do a bit of a hobby hangout and I'll open up the book and we can chat or something. But any other things you're thinking about? Anything we haven't really spoken about when it comes to Broken Realms?
Not really. I think we've pretty much hammered the point home, how much we're both looking forward to it and what we think is going to be in it. So
there might be more information that comes out in the next 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, there's a couple more articles due, I reckon, because they haven't told us how New Marathi is going to work and things like that, which they said they would. So I just know that when I read that article first thing Monday morning and they're like, this is coming out this weekend, I just sent my local store a message. I'm like, dude, I need the book and I need the new Bugman miniature that's coming. Make sure I'm top of the list for that, please.
I was surprised. I was expecting this more later in the month. I thought it was going to be, I thought it was going to be much later in the month than where it is now. But hey, I'm good.
The earlier we get this first book, the earlier we get the rest of them.
Do you think we'll get another one before the new year?
Yeah, I reckon we might get two. Two is a stretch, but I reckon we'll get another one.
Yeah.
Probably every 3 weeks, because there's still a lot of 40K stuff that they haven't brought out yet. And they've kind of given us a roadmap of what 40K stuff's coming out. So I reckon we're going to have an extra book, and then maybe two. We'll see.
I think maybe the shout that Luke mentioned earlier, that it could be a Slaanesh book, probably is a good call. Ties into Shadow and Pain, and then who knows, maybe there will be another box set, or there'll be a new set of kits that will come out post Christmas for that money, that sweet Christmas money that Games Workshop want to take you all later when we come back from Christmas break. So who knows, maybe the next set of the story arc will come out post Christmas. So potentially Slaanesh could be the right book.
Yeah, well, we traditionally get some AoS releases in January that are fairly significant. So
yeah, when we've had Gloomspite Gits, we've had Nurgle. I think Nurgle come out around Christmas 1 year as well. So again, obviously, current events.
Yeah, well, I think GW put out a thing this week that said that even though the UK goes into lockdown today, their manufacturing isn't affected at the moment. So yes. I reckon there's been many meetings on Zoom that says, how do we continue to pump out kits and keep everyone happy in lockdown, even if the worst happens. So look, we should hopefully still continue to get cool stuff, and as long as they can do that safely, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think we're trying to catch up to, when I look at the Games Workshop website, a lot of things are still currently out of stock. I was thinking about buying a 4th Mega Gargant, and I went on to the store, and the Man Crushers and the Mega Gargant kits are sold out. So I'm hoping that there will be a nice little refresh to the store leading into Christmas. I think a lot of people are going to have things like Warhammer on their Christmas list. So hopefully there will be a big restock so we can fill out those Christmas lists. But there was a recent article to say that those stores were closing down in some of those COVID-affected areas. So the UK, for example, I think America maybe. Don't quote me on that, but the manufacturing side would not be stopping at this point. So,
like I said, as long as they can do that safely, that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've probably run out of things I wanted to talk about at this particular point, and there's probably a lot of cool things we could talk about. I think maybe as the story progresses and we learn more about Broken Realms and what it actually means and what's actually coming down to the table. I think we'll have more to discuss. But right now,
I'm just picturing that, like every Down Under Sigmar. So like every month, it's like we're just talking about the next book and the progression. Like we could just spend this show just talking Broken Realms for the next 6 months.
Well, it's good that they actually brought this out just before our episode. So we are going to be doing this monthly, seeing how we go, and who knows, if there's more to talk about, we can maybe increase the show. But expect this the first Thursday of every month. If people want to watch and learn more about Clint and kind of hang out with Clint, you are doing hobby hangouts on Twitch on a Tuesday.
Yep. So Hobby Heralds over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Heralds of War, 8:30 p.m. Queensland time, which is GMT plus 10. And then I'll probably, so every Tuesday, which I think is like Tuesday morning for the UK. And then I'll probably pop up on like Sunday afternoons and do some random ones and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you guys clearly know my schedule, so I don't have a schedule. I just whenever a guest, I can secure a guest. But the cool thing as well is you might have noticed that my list talking shows have probably reduced in the last month or so, and that is because obviously Broken Realms has come up. So I wanted to kind of hold out and talk about the new Daughters, talk about the new Slanesh, all the things that are coming, Slaves of Darkness, Stormcast. So knowing that these things were coming, but do know that we'll get some cool guests to talk through the various builds. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep. Awesome.
I don't even, where's this saying if I wore glasses, I'd look like I don't even know who that is. Saul Barrison from Homeland. I don't watch Homeland, Wes. So Cool. Would I bring Liam back as a guest to twist the knife in?
That seems mean.
Poor Liam. He didn't do anything wrong. Maybe I need a shirt. Liam did nothing wrong.
Apparently, I ate him. According to the chat, I apparently ate Liam, which
fair enough.
He's so skinny he wouldn't have been much of a meal. So I don't think that's really a thing.
All right, this conversation has degraded.
No.
We're done, I think. Poor old Liam. He did nothing wrong.
Just Noops' latest comment there. I'm sorry, I'm done now.
Yeah, I think we've got to cut off the chat. They've lost the plot. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you think that you would like to have your content featured, like your hobby progress featured in a future episode, do let me know in the chat if this seems like a good idea. If you have some topics that you want to explore, maybe some guests or some things, maybe, we don't want to harp too much on COVID, but I'm going to go to an event in a couple of weeks' time with Michael Thompson. So how is he running a COVID safe event? But at the same time, we're going to have a whole bunch of stories, a whole bunch of, who knows, maybe we'll get new armies, we'll get new models, who knows what's coming down the pipeline. So I think, if you've got a theme, you've got an army, you want a topic you want to explore, let us know.
Yep.
And I hope we kept you guys all entertained. The chat has definitely been a little crazy right now, but you're all. I
feel
awesome.
Like the chat entertained themselves. For the
it did get to a point where it was just purely about Broken Realms. There was like Broken Realms Bugman, Broken Realms Johan, Broken Realms, and Chief thinks that Liam is lost in my beard. So
that is also likely.
Liam, if you watch this, please let everyone know on Twitter that you're safe. You haven't been eaten by Clint and you're not hiding in my beard. All right, we've lost the plot. I'm hanging up. Guys, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the episode and we'll chat again very soon.
See you guys.
See you guys. Bye.